Am I the a-hole for choosing my stepmom over my biological mom? I'm 24, female, and I just bought a new house. My dad and stepmom contributed too for the house and it looks perfect. My mom left me and my dad when I was 5 because my dad couldn't earn much. A year later, he remarried to my stepmom, Jane. She wasn't what I thought stepmoms would be. She was kind of really talented. I don't have other siblings or stepsisters, so she basically raised me as her own daughter. She helped through everything, financially too. My biological mom, Karen, came for me when I was 16. I had grown a hatred for her as she abandoned me, but she still was invited to events like my birthday or Christmas. She also has a stepdaughter a few years younger than me. So when I bought a new house, I expected my stepmom to move in with me, as it was closer to the hospital she has to go every 3 months. Diabetes. Before I could move in, my mom asked me how many rooms were there. I told her how many were there, and she said she and her stepdaughter would move in a week later to choose the rooms. I told her no, as Jane was moving in with me, and it caused a big argument between us. She included Jane and my dad, and said how Jane brainwashed me and created chaos between mother and daughter. She yelled at me for being raised pathetically and said, "I gave birth to you, so you owe me a lot." Her stepdaughter called me too and said I was being a witch for not giving her a place to stay. Jane and I moved in 3 days ago, but we still get calls from them telling me to kick Jane out or Karen won't see me again. I don't think I am, but am I the a-hole? Edit. Why the r/want to move in my house? 1. Jane has diabetes appointment every 3 months, and my dad's place is nearly a 2-hour flight plus hotel. Living with me can reduce the cost. 2. Karen's stepdaughter wants to live in the city and in my house, so as family we don't have to pay each other. She's broke and jobless, and Karen wants to stay so she can supervise me. 3. My dad isn't involved because he is a peacekeeper. He doesn't get angry quick and avoid doing things that makes him regret later. Now for the top comments. Not today, home. What kind of adult invites themselves into someone else's home? That's weird on the surface and more so given your history. You decided to help your stepmom, so tell this other lady that she's not welcome to live there. But hey, Bio Mom said that if OP doesn't kick out Jane, OP wouldn't see Karen again. Like, where's the downside here? Sometimes the trash takes itself out. She said she and her stepdaughter would move in a week later to choose the rooms. Not stay whole and she can piss off. Why does she think she can move into a place she did not pay for at all and was not invited? Also, why does your dad react like this? He is the type of person who would stay calm and won't let anger take over. Not stay home. Your stepmom is clearly more of a mother to you than your birth mother. Also, your birth mother's logic is flawed. She may have brought you into this world, but that was her choice and not yours. And when you bring a child into this world, you then have a responsibility to take care of them. And she did not fulfill that responsibility. Your stepmom, however, did raise you, so it's perfectly fair you'd want her to move in with you instead of the egg donor. Next story. Am I the a-hole for selling my house to get away from my sister? I took in my pregnant sister when she was almost homeless, kicked out by her boyfriend, father of the baby. We weren't close, but I let her into my home because I didn't want my nephew to be homeless. The agreement was I took her in for 3 months and she would find a job and find a place to live in that time. Almost a year later, she hasn't left, and I'm stuck paying for her and her son. Even worse, she recently got back together with a boyfriend that kicked her out, but hasn't forced him to pay any child support, so I'm paying for everything. He is a stinky, disgusting a-hole who I banned from the house, but my sister keeps sneaking him in when I'm out. I can't afford it as I have a good job, but I'm sick of her mooching off me when she could find a job, but hasn't even sent out a single resume. She has had depression in the past and is probably depressed now, and so she begged our mom to speak to me on her behalf, who keeps telling me when I let her into my home I signed an obligation for life to take care of her son. I'm also single without children, so in her eyes I don't have any obligations now but to take care of her grandson. I've been looking for a better job for a while and I just found one. It's a work-from-home job, but I can't imagine working with my sister around. So I told her I'm selling the house and moving states and she has 2 months to move out. Now all I'm getting is phone calls from my mother and other family members who know they have to take care of my sister if I leave, begging me to keep taking care of her. She's screaming at me for leaving her on the streets, but I can't wait for February to come early enough. But I feel kind of guilty looking at my nephew who is going to suffer because both of his crappy parents. It probably is going to end up like them. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell your mom to take your sister in then. Also, you said the agreement was 3 months. Where the heck did your mom pull that for life out of? Her butt? Well, shove it back where it comes from. There is only so much you can help until it starts to affect you. Doesn't matter if it's mental/physical/financial. Protect yourself before you try to help others. Yep. Hey mom, when you gave birth to sister, you took an obligation for life. I think parents forget they're still parents even after the child turned 18. Not today, home. Your mom can take them in if she feels so strongly. You're not your sister's parent. Housing them for a few months is not an obligation for life. Block your mom and enjoy your new place. Not today, home. Your nephew has parents and grandparents and many others who can step in and help. You telling your sister she can stay with you for a couple of months isn't a lifetime obligation to pay for her and her child. They have rights because they are living there, but you're under no obligation to allow that to continue. Selling the house seems extreme, unless that's something you want to do regardless, but you should absolutely talk to a lawyer and begin eviction proceedings. Your sister is an adult. It needs to take responsibility for her actions and her child. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for yelling at my mom that I hate Harry Potter and to let me live my own life? As my title suggests, my mom is a huge Harry Potter nut. She and my dad actually met in Harry Potter IRC, like Discord but for old people, in the early 2000s. Got married, had kids, and from day one decided to embarrass us for life by naming us after some Harry Potter and Star Wars characters. It's honestly been hell. I have a stupid name, and since we were little, my parents have forced stuff like Harry Potter, Star Wars, Marvel movies, etc. down our throats. Everything is about dragons and magic and blah blah blah. I'm so sick of it. Every birthday, every holiday, everything is just organized around fandom. So just like every Christmas, the days leading up to Christmas we have to sit down every night and watch Harry Potter movies. It's so freaking boring. I can usually get away with knitting or drawing on my iPad during this, but this year my mom was like, let's just have a technology and distraction free every night. I arranged to go over to my friend Missy's house instead for like 2 nights. Missy's family is normal and likes things a normal amount. But my mom got really mad and started talking about how it's a family tradition and how I'm basically rejecting her and went on her whole thing about how you wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Harry Potter. I finally had it and just yelled, nobody cares that you were a big name at Harry Potter fan club. I don't like Harry Potter. I don't like Star Wars. I hate Marvel movies. They're all so boring. So please just let me have my own interests. I couldn't help it. I started crying because I was just so frustrated because everything always has to be about Harry Potter this, Star Wars that. And now that we're all older, they started doing Game of Thrones. Everything is centered around some kind of movie or TV show or book series. Just once, I want my family to bond around something that doesn't have to do with media or these nerdy things. We live in Utah where we have like 5 national parks. And even though I ask every year for my birthday, I've never been to Arches. Well, my sister called me saying that mom was angry and to just come home and to stop with the theatrics. I told her that I'm sick of having all this old nerd stuff crammed down my throat. And just once I want to have a normal time, watching normal Christmas movies, and not having a pause for lightsaber battles. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not an a-hole, and your post is a great warning for all those people still thinking about naming their kid Anakin or Khaleesi. You're allowed to have your own interests, and your parents aren't making life easier by forcing things they like on you. Not an a-hole, but that IRC comment cut me to the core, and now I feel old. The sheer psychic damage reading that line KO'd me where I sat. As a huge Harry Potter fan myself, you are not an a-hole. You have to be able to grow up and have your own interests. Do you think your parents would be open to family therapy? This. I have a few fandoms I'm into. Harry Potter being one, Supernatural being another. I will definitely buy all of the things when I see it, but I don't push it on my daughter. Although she does know about my interests and will point out things she sees that I would like. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my estranged extended family when I got a new phone number and ruining their Christmas? So here's a little backstory. I, 36 female, haven't been in contact with my extended family in years. Not for lack of trying, but when I did used to reach out, I was either ignored or blown off as an annoyance. Well, I got a new number last year, and it's been so long they never crossed my mind to inform. Suddenly now, some of these extendeds decided to finally reach out, and upon me not immediately answering their calls and texts, decided to lose their flipping minds. I'm currently out of state, and yesterday evening I got a frantic call from my husband, saying some of my family members showed up at our house and left a note on our door while he was out. One of our neighbors came over and told him they wandered all over the outside of our house banging on the windows, and quickly left when she came out to question them. The note they left was ridiculously long, but to summarize, there was a family emergency and how I had better call them ASAP. My husband tried to call and text them before calling me, but they hung up on him when he said he was my husband. So I ended up calling to see what the hell was going on. The second I answered, my family lit into me calling me every name in the book. Finally, when I was able to get a word in and ask what emergency was, I almost had a conniption. This grand emergency was the day before one of my uncles texted my old number that I was to come to his house for Christmas, and that he would take no excuses. He texted this at 4 a.m., and when I didn't answer, he sent a barrage of texts, telling me I had no choice and that my cousins would come get me the following day whether I like it or not. Amazing, colorful language about what I'm doing with my spare time was included. With no immediate answer to that, he apparently called everyone and had the mass call and text my old number because I was obviously just being a witch and ignoring them. Well, apparently the person that now has my old number didn't like that everyone and their left sock was blowing up their phone. Apparently they contacted several of the family members and they would be contacting the police about this harassment. I told them they brought it on themselves because of their extreme overreaction. They tried to talk over me, but I cut them off, pointing out their lack of communication for all these years was okay, but no reply from me at the crack of the morning is unacceptable apparently. They then told me I was a selfish witch that ruined their Christmas. I ended it soon after that and called my husband to fill him in on everything. He was understandably pissed as well. I plan to call my old number in the morning and apologize to them for the trouble, and possibly get copies of the text to get a restraining order when I return home. I'm so upset and utterly enraged by this behavior from them, and I don't think I am, but I do have to ask, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You should probably change your number again now. These people sound terrible. Definitely not the a-hole. I have a question though. Is there no one on that side of the family who knows how to reach you? Isn't there a parent or a sibling these wackos could have called and said, I hope you didn't return my text. Is she okay? If you do and they still acted this way, I have no words. The fact they want this level of crazy means they probably burned more than a few bridges that lead to OP. Not the a-hole, and do not delay on that restraining order. It is very strange that they would come to your house and knock when no one is there, peep through the windows, but leave as soon as they saw the neighbor. Something is very fishy there. Were you due for kind of inheritance from an older relative? It's possible that there's been a death in the family that you are not aware of. They might be trying to attempt to force you out of it by getting you alone. This is what I think. What, after all these years, would make them this desperate to see OP again? Money would be one of my first guesses. OP, you need to find out if a relative has recently died, or if you're the recipient of some sort of bequest. Given all these people's wacko behavior, I can see someone deciding to leave everything to the only sane person in the family. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for ordering meals for my children when we go out with friends? My husband and I have 2 children, 19 and 17. We go out with our friends, 2 other couples, every other week, and then on the weeks we do not go out with them, we have a date night and then a family dinner out. We always get separate checks, so each couple pays for their own food/drinks. We find it is just easier to do it that way. On the weeks that we do not take the kids, or ask if they can come in the 19-year-old's case since they work, we always have them look at the menu to see if they want us to order them something and bring it home. We have been doing this for the last 5 years since the kids were old enough to not need a babysitter, and it has never been an issue until now. The only time we do not order them anything is when we have plans after dinner, such as a concert or movie. A new couple joined our group for dinner. They are friends of another couple we go out with, and we had never met them prior to Saturday night. We decided on sushi for dinner, So we showed both kids the menu online and asked if they wanted us to pick them up something to bring home. They each decided on 2 rolls. At the end of our meal, my husband ordered the rolls for the kids and let the server know that they were for takeout and to put them on our check. The wife of the new couple got a little huffy and told us that it was rude for us to order more food when everyone was getting ready to leave, and basically said it was trashy of us to get doggy bags for our kids when none of the other couples had. My husband told her that we do this all the time, and that if they wanted to leave, nothing is stopping them from doing that. The next day I got a text from my friend saying that this new couple did not enjoy going out with us, and that we embarrassed them, the new couple but not our friends, at the restaurant by ordering takeout food for our children. I asked my friend if she had a problem with us doing that as they had never said anything to us before, and she said no, but she does not want fighting within the group, so she asked that we not order takeout anymore for the kids if this other couple was going to be dining with us. I told my friend that it was rude to ask us not to do this, especially considering that we have always done it without issue, and that maybe we just did not need to go with them when they dined with this other couple since they did not like being around us. So are we the a-holes? That new couple should just mind their own business. You getting takeout has nothing to do with them. I can't even imagine what kind of alternate reality they live in to think that it would be trashy. Not stay home. Agreed. I think the couple felt embarrassed that they weren't also taking something home for their kids, and that they were made to look trashy. Ridiculous. You should be able to go out with grown adults and not all do the same thing. The only thing trashy would have been to order for the kids and put it in one bill that was split between everyone. This overreaction is so strange, including their old friends not wanting them to do it either, that I wonder if OP is not telling the truth about how they split checks. The story would make sense if they equally split a single check. I think we're just in a strange time where no one is allowed to do anything if it upsets even one person's feelings, even if said person is overreacting and being ridiculous.
Am I the a-hole for reporting my sister's boyfriend to his job after he pranked me with fake eviction papers? Okay, so I feel this blew up way more than I expected, and now my sister is mad at me. I, 26 female, live in an apartment complex my dad owns. I pay reduced rent, but it's still a legal lease. I have a contract, etc. I work full-time and handle my own bills, so it's not like I'm just mooching. My dad just wanted to help me save while I get through grad school. For context, I'm in my 2nd year of a master's program in social work. I work part-time at a crisis shelter, and honestly, things have been stressful. A lot of what I do is literally helping people avoid eviction, so that might help explain why this hit me so hard. My sister Emma, 28 female, has been dating Nick, 30 male, for about a year. He's one of those guys who thinks he's the funniest person in the room, but mostly just makes people uncomfortable. Weird jokes that just aren't tasteful, pranks, and he thinks of himself as an alpha male type. Trust me, I wish I was kidding. He's done stupid pranks in the past too. One time, he swapped out his co-worker's decaf coffee for regular as a joke, and the guy had a full-on panic episode at work. Apparently, he had a heart condition. The man reported him to HR, and Nick just laughed it off and said everyone was just too sensitive, and that it was a harmless prank. Not sure why HR didn't do more, seeing that his co-worker had a literal health condition that could have been worsened by his harmless prank. Nick came over a few weeks ago while my sister was helping me move some furniture. I left them alone in the living room for maybe 10 minutes while I ran to get coffee for all of us. When I came back with our drinks, Emma and Nick went quiet. I was a little concerned, but my sister said it was nothing. Emma and I were moving this crazy heavy dresser my grandma had gifted me, and Nick had made a comment like, "If you just got off your lazy butt, you wouldn't have to take people's leftovers." I looked at my sister shocked, like WTF. She'd just told him to knock it off. He just shrugged and went off into the living room. A couple days later, I went to check my mail and see envelope in my mailbox. It's an official notice of eviction that looked pretty convincing. My heart stopped. I thought maybe I missed some clause in the lease or something happened to my dad. I started to freak out and was crying. I called my dad in a panic. He was just as confused and asked me to send pictures. He said he didn't know anything about it and hadn't authorized anything like that. For a while, I honestly thought about all sorts of possibilities. Maybe some stalker or random jerk found out where I lived and was trying to scare me. Or maybe there was some kind of error. But something I did notice when I inspected the letter again, I had seen it was sent out with the same company Nick works for. A day or two later, I brought it up while getting drinks with my sister and Nick, along with a few mutual friends of ours. The second I mentioned the envelope and my worry that someone could be messing with me, I noticed Nick starting to act a bit weird. He stopped making eye contact and engaging in conversation and started fidgeting with his phone. My sister had also gone quiet. I kept thinking about that moment in my apartment and how odd it was, plus the company that had served me matching up with Nick's job, and how surprisingly unfazed Emma was when I told her about the eviction notice. Eventually, I had pulled her aside from the rest of the group and had asked if Nick had anything to do with it. After some hesitation, she admitted it was him. According to my sister, she didn't agree with it and Nick thought the prank would be funny. I could take this as a lesson, not to rely on Daddy's help forever. He apparently thought he was being funny and giving me some motivation. I was shocked nonetheless. I was mad at my sister for even letting it go on, and Nick for being so insensitive. Who in their right mind would find this funny? Which it is crazy because, again, I pay rent, I work, and my dad offered me the apartment because I help manage the property when he's out of town. Here's the part that really angered me. Nick had known I've been struggling. He's heard me talk to my sister about burnout, about feeling overwhelmed with work and school. He's literally sat across from me at dinner while I vented about clients at the shelter being scared of eviction. This is where I might be a bit of an a-hole. Nick works in property management. Like it's literally his job to handle leases, evictions, inspections, etc. So this wasn't just some random prank. He had used actual template formatting from his company to make it look real. I was livid. My dad too. After thinking about it for some time, I reported him to his company's ethics hotline. I sent them photos and explained what happened. Well, they took it seriously. He was fired for inappropriate use of power and other pranks he had done. Now my sister and Nick are blaming it on me. My sister is saying I ruined his career over a joke. My mom is begging me to apologize because he was just trying to be funny, and Nick has anxiety now. I get that maybe I should have just yelled at him or confronted him directly. But honestly, I was worried if I hadn't reported him now, what other pranks could he have done using his job as a dumb joke? He had given me a severe panic attack with his prank, made me question my housing stability, and forged documents that looked extremely real just to prove a point? All while knowing I was already struggling. Now my mom and sister are saying I took it too far and made it a work thing. My brother did take my side in this, saying if you hadn't have done it, I would have, and agrees that he is the one who took it too far. I just want this whole thing to be over with, and dealing with this crap from my family, plus my school and work life has really taken a toll on me. I just want to know if I'm crazy or not, and thinking that reporting him wasn't a mistake. Thank you for listening to my hopefully not long ramble. I just need some advice here. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Obviously, you're not the a-hole. He used company stationery to send a false eviction notice. He has a habit of this kind of behavior to other employees. Honestly, if I were you, I would cut out your sister until he either apologized to you profusely or she dumped his alpha male butt. What a dipshit. This is important. OP needs to simply refuse to have any interactions with this person. He should not be invited to her home, and she should refuse to attend any family events if Nick is present. His behavior is unacceptable and should not be tolerated. We need to normalize completely cutting people off when they behave like this. Of course, you're not the a-hole. This wasn't a joke. If it was a joke, he'd never have been fired. It was a misuse of company property. He's literally just facing the consequences of his own actions. He's an immature bully and deserved everything he got. Totally. If it was just a joke, HR wouldn't have fired him. He played a dumb game and won the consequences. Not the a-hole, obviously. He was probably pretty close to being fired after almost killing a coworker. Companies don't love pranks that open them to litigation. Bingo. HR's there to protect the company's interest. Someone abusing the company name and equipment and causes harm to coworkers is a legal problem if left unchecked. So they took steps to protect the company. Had this really been a joke, he would still have his job. Next story. Am I the a-hole for deciding to not invite my sister to my wedding because she's dating and wanted to bring my cheating ex who assaulted my fiancé? I'm 28 female engaged to Nate 30 male, and we've been together for 5.5 years now. Before Nate, I was in a relationship with James 29 male, and that ended 6 years ago when I caught him cheating. He tried to win me back and I gave him no attention for that. Then he found out about Nate and confronted and assaulted him in public and got arrested for it. At the time, I was sure Nate would run for the hills, but he never blamed me. And we're so happy together and looking toward our future. My sister Valerie, 27 female, and I were always close. That started to change last year when she became distant and off in general. Our whole family noticed it. Then we found out in February it was because she started dating James. She rushed to defend herself and him, and she promised he was a changed person, but I refused to give him a second chance, and Nate didn't want an apology from him either. Valerie tried to talk us around, but we held firm. He could have seriously harmed Nate when he attacked him. I found out through my brother that Valerie was planning to bring James as her +1 to the wedding, and with that heads up, I decided she wasn't going to be invited. Even without a +1, I didn't trust her not to bring him along. And given she's dating him, I am questioning our ability to have a relationship anymore. She knows what he's done and didn't care about the impact on our relationship. I told the rest of my family Valerie was no longer invited, and at first I had everyone's support, but when Valerie learned this and pleaded for me to invite her and to stop pushing her away, my other sister told me I should invite her, and not inviting her is basically ending my relationship with Valerie, which is too much. Nate doesn't agree, and he thinks we're doing the right thing. I have the support of the rest of the family as well. I do think I'm doing the right thing, but what says Reddit? Am I the a-hole if I don't invite Valerie? Not the a-hole. By the way, tell your sister, the ones who's pleading Valerie's case, that it is Nate's wedding too, and exactly how many people she herself has invited to her wedding, who had viciously and violently assaulted her. I didn't ask her that, but she said Nate would accept it if I did, which I think is crazy to expect. If we were being generous, we could let Valerie in and have security to stop James. But the expectation will be eventually he'll be welcome, and he won't be. Your sister doesn't give two shits about you. She's dating your abusive ex. You wouldn't be the a-hole whether you choose to invite her or not. It's your wedding day, not hers or your sister's. As for your relationship with your sister, she made her choice when she got involved with your ex. Changed or not, some lines just shouldn't be crossed, especially within family. In my eyes, she already showed who she values more. Now she has to live with that decision. That's how I feel too. Her dating James shows so much. Exactly. Stand your ground and don't be pressured. I wish you all the best on your most precious day. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to do something special on my wedding day for my sister because she refused to do something for me at hers? I, 30 female, I'm getting married this Sunday, and my sister Jessica, 28 female, got married 2 years ago. A couple of weeks before her wedding, my ex left me for another woman, and it was devastating because I thought that he was going to propose soon. At my sister's wedding, I asked her if she could throw the bouquet to me as to wish me luck, but she refused and said that she didn't want to damage it. I asked her to lend it to me for a couple of pics instead, and she refused that too. I said nothing more, and I didn't bring it up again until now. Okay, my sister is pregnant and wants to announce it at my wedding. She asked, and I said absolutely not. When she asked why, I told her that 1, the wedding is for my fiancé and I. 2, she didn't do what I asked her to do at her wedding. So why would I do what she asks in mine? She's mad and says that I'm being ridiculous. Our mother says that I'm being childish. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Also warn your DJ that if your sister starts to speak, he should turn up the music. because she's definitely going to try to announce it anyway. I would just uninvite her. Do you really want to worry about a guest who will probably misbehave at your own wedding? And also, let mom know that mom, must apologize to me, and that if she acts out at the wedding, such as announcing the pregnancy or saying I'm a bad person for uninviting sister, she'll be kicked out. Not to mention that I'd email all the guests today to tell them that sister asked me to use my wedding to announce her pregnancy. You need to announce for her at your rehearsal dinner. This right here is effing diabolical. Takes the wind right out of her sails and foils any planned sabotage. Brilliant. Even better, instead of announcing it yourself at the rehearsal dinner, which admittedly is deliciously aggressive, you could instead be deliciously passive-aggressive. Stand up at your rehearsal dinner, or take the opportunity during some other speechifying moment and say, "And now sister has some blessed news that she wants to share with the group," and hand her the mic. You'll look sweet for giving her her moment, while simultaneously and deviously undermining her ability to take that moment herself later at your wedding. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my sister the wedding dress I bought, even though I'm not getting married anymore? So I, 29 female, was supposed to get married last year, but my fiancé and I ended up breaking things off a few months before the wedding. It was mutual, no drama, just a realization that we weren't compatible long-term. The thing is, I had already bought my wedding dress custom-made, cost me nearly $4,000. I know that's a lot, but I paid for it entirely myself, and it meant a lot to me at the time. After the breakup, I packed it up and put it in storage. Haven't been ready to sell it or do anything with it yet. It's emotional. Here's where it gets messy. My younger sister, 24 female, recently got engaged. We're not super close, kind of different people, and she's always been a bit entitled, honestly. She came over a few weeks ago, saw the dress when we were organizing my storage closet, and asked if she could have it for her wedding. I kind of laughed and said, no, that's mine. She got annoyed and said, "But you're not even getting married. You're just going to let it rot in a box?" I told her again no, it's personal to me, and even though I'm not using it now, I'm not giving it away. She asked if she could buy it at a discount, and I said I wasn't ready to sell it. She threw a fit, called me selfish, and said I was being dramatic over just a dress. Our mom is now involved and thinks I should just give it to her as a gesture of sisterly love, and because it's going to waste. But I honestly feel like she's only asking because she doesn't want to pay for one herself. And she's not exactly struggling financially. So now I have my sister and my mom acting like I'm heartless and petty for not handing it over. But it feels like a boundary I want to keep. Gee, Mom, I decided you were right. I shouldn't just let it rot in a box. So I sold it or donated it. Then put it somewhere they will not find it. Store at a friend's house or rent a small storage unit until after the wedding and offered to donate money to sis as your wedding gift. Since she seems to be hurting for money, not the a-hole. Vicious, but I like it. Not the a-hole. Watching someone else wear the dress you picked for the happiest day of your life would be like watching them live the future you lost. That's what your sister is asking you to do. To sit there at her wedding and see her in your dress. The one you stood in front of mirrors in. The one you cried happy tears in. The one that was supposed to be yours. And smile. And pretend it's fine. It's just a dress thing? God, it's never just a dress when it's yours, is it? It's every hope you had, every plan you made, every version of yourself you imagined walking down that aisle. Even if the breakup was right, even if you're glad it ended, that grief is still real. It's custom-made, meaning it's not going to fit her perfectly. Say you are asking $4,000. She won't pay it. When mom complains, ask her to pay it for your sister. Mom, it's win-win. She gets this beautiful dress, and I get my money back. Now mom will make excuses. Mom, you just told me how important it is for sis to get this dress. Just pay the $4,000. Mom will quickly drop this topic. If it comes up at family gatherings, Mom wanted me to give sis $4,000, but she wasn't willing to do so. I thought her motto was, family helps family. Guess not. I'd go on the offensive, because it's fun. Sounds good on paper until mom decides to buy OP's dress for her golden child. Then OP is left, once again, looking like the a-hole by saying no. and moving the goalpost. The risk isn't worth the petty reward. Sister only wants it because it's free, or she wants to rub sister's nose in it. If she's gleefully selling, then the joy will be robbed from sister and she won't want it anymore, or will want a different dress if 4K is on the table. But OP can buy another dress for 4,000 when it suits her, which is a win for OP if they take her up on it. Wearing the dress you picked out for first wedding might be a dicey subject in her next relationship. I'd be thrilled if I tricked mom into buying it for 4,000 for sister. I sold my body to feed my family. They spent the money on parties. I think I got tired of living for everyone else. At 23, I decided to completely distance myself from my family. I didn't say anything. I didn't explain. I just disappeared. Since I was a teenager, I had to take on a role that was never mine. My father was absent, and we never got any kind of support from his side of the family. Not a phone call, not a visit, not a single bit of financial help. As the oldest sister, the responsibility of taking care of my mom and siblings fell on me. There was no choice. It was either that or watch them fall apart completely. And when you're young, you think you have to do it, that there's no other way. You don't even question it, you just do it. It started small. I skipped hanging out with friends so I could watch my siblings after school. Then I got a part-time job to help buy groceries, and I kept going. The adults around me said I was being so strong and so mature for my age. But deep down, I was just scared. Scared of what would happen if I stopped. Out of necessity and my own survival, I ended up working as an escort. It wasn't for pleasure or out of curiosity. It was pure, raw desperation. I was 19. I remember sitting in our tiny apartment, looking at bills stacked on the table, listening to my siblings telling me they didn't have money for school supplies, my mom crying about rent, and realizing I didn't see any other way out. What I earned covered food, bills, school supplies, clothes, everything they needed. And I also had to survive. I had to eat, pay my own rent, keep the lights on. Whatever I had left after sending them money was barely enough for me to stay afloat, so I kept going even though I hated every single second of it. I hated my work. I hated how it made me feel, how it changed how I saw myself. There's this hollow feeling you get when you have to smile through something that is destroying you from the inside. But I convinced myself it was worth it. For them. For a better future for them. If I just worked harder, if I just endured a little more, things would get better. But eventually, the emotional weight started killing the love I had for them. It stopped being about love and became about guilt. A constant sense that if I didn't sacrifice myself, no one else would. That if I stopped, everything would crumble. That I was selfish for even wanting to stop. It's exhausting when your entire existence feels like a debt you can never repay. One day, I woke up and realized I couldn't keep doing this. I had no life of my own, no identity, just a constant cycle of work, guilt, sending money, and silence. So I packed up and moved to another part of the country. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even leave a note. I just left. From there, I kept sending money. I told myself it was temporary, that I just needed space. But the more distance I put between us, the more detached I became. I stopped feeling connected. I didn't want to hear from them. I didn't want to be the person who was only valuable because of the money she sent. And then one day, I found out the truth. While I was breaking myself piece by piece, doing something that destroyed me, they were spending the money on alcohol, parties, and unnecessary things, like it was normal. Like my sacrifice meant nothing, like they had no idea or didn't care what it was costing me. That's when I broke. I cut them off completely. No more money, no more messages, no explanations. I disappeared. Not out of revenge, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I finally understood that no one was going to protect me if I didn't. No one was going to tell me to stop or tell me I mattered outside of what I gave them. Now I'm alone, yes, in a new place, starting over from scratch. I'm still figuring things out, who I am, what I want, what I deserve. I don't know if I made the best decision. Some nights I second-guess myself, but it was the only decision that kept me emotionally alive. I had to disappear just so I could begin to exist. Now for the top comments. They were not worth your sacrifice. I'm sorry, my dear, but they used you. They only thought about their own needs and wants. You made the right decision by leaving and cutting them off. I hope you can heal now, grow and find people who do care about you. I'm sure you'll make it through. You come across as a smart and strong young lady. Much love from an internet stranger. Thank you so much for your kind words. Leaving them behind was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because they were my only family. And for a long time, I thought I should endure anything for them. But I realized I was simply disappearing as a person. I was exhausted, emotionally numb, and completely alone, even when surrounded by people I loved. Now I really am alone in the world. But oddly enough, I'm finally starting to feel peace. I'm recovering, little by little, building a life just for myself. And honestly, it feels so new and strange. But it will be a path I build for myself, and it will be better. Thank you again for taking the time to write this. It means so much more than you know. Oh, honey, brave doesn't even begin to describe what you are. You are so much stronger than you even realize, too. I'm so proud of you for getting out and moving on. I hope you're proud of yourself for putting you first, for once. This is the start of your life. Brand new slate. You got this. Please be sure to choose yourself. Every single time, in every instance. You are precious and worth choosing. Remember the airline rule. Take care of yourself and make sure you are good first before you assist anyone else. Hugs to you, my dear. Now I know, it's never worth sacrificing for others, not even family. They'll never truly see how much it costs you. I'm 23, and I'm only just realizing I was never supposed to play the role of a parent to my own family. But life doesn't ask, it just hands you that burden. Thank you for reminding me to choose myself. Next story. My ex-husband returned my dogs to the shelter and one was euthanized. I fought so much for those dogs, and in the end, he won our dogs in the divorce. He had the dogs before our marriage. My ex-husband and I were only married for 2 years. I was completely shocked when I saw on FB that one of my dogs was euthanized at a shelter. Gracie was my favorite dog. She was only 6 years old, and the shelter killed her. She was the sweetest dog I ever met. She loved everyone and everything. My other dog, Shank, was on an adoption page I saw on a local FB group I follow. I immediately called the shelter and said I wanted to adopt him and that he was my old dog, explaining my situation. They told me they were sorry, but that was posted more than a week ago and he's already been adopted. My heart is so broken. I called my ex-husband, and his explanation was that he didn't have time to take care of the dogs anymore, and that they would be in a better home in a more active environment, since the dogs barely went outside when they were living with him. He probably had those dogs for a few months after our divorce, and then he put them in a shelter. I said he should have just given the dogs to me. I loved them. He didn't want to give them to me because he wanted me to suffer. He didn't want me to be happy. He knew how much I loved those dogs, and to make my life miserable, he'd rather have his own dogs euthanized than for me to have them, because he knew how much those dogs meant to me. He did say that he didn't think Gracie would get euthanized. He had to see the posts to believe it. I showed it all to him. He claims he didn't know it was a kill shelter, and that he thought she would have gotten adopted easily because she's sweet. But the thing is, she looks like a pit bull. I don't know her exact breed. The shelter he originally got her from labeled her as a hound mix, but she does look like a pit bull, so there are negative stereotypes about pit bulls. And then she's 6 years old, and dogs don't get adopted at an older age, so obviously this was going to happen. I didn't worry too much about Shank since he's a lab. I just hope he truly is in a good home. This whole thing is just so terrible. I keep having dreams about my dogs. I miss them so much. Your ex-husband is an evil human being. That's devastating. I'm so sorry. Yep, knowing for a fact that you wanted them, he was willing to let 2 creatures suffer just so he could be petty. I hope karmic justice is a real thing, because this dude should end up with one of those really gruesome wasting diseases for which there is no treatment. Oh my God, I am so sorry. This is absolutely horrific. Your ex is a straight-up sociopath. I would warn anyone who knows him what he did and how evil and heartless he is. It's one thing for someone to go after their ex, though that's also crap behavior. But to literally kill an innocent animal just to ensure someone else suffers, that is truly evil. And I hope for the sake of anyone near him that karma gets him fast. I don't buy for a second that he wasn't aware of what he was doing. Are you certain he doesn't have a history of animal abuse or neglect? My heart hurts for you and for poor Gracie, who was probably so scared. I'll be thinking of you and hoping you can heal from this. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that he used our dogs against me. He knew how much I love that dog, and he wouldn't give them to me. He would rather put them in a shelter, and God knows what will happen to them or who would have them, just out of spite and hatred toward me. I'm so glad I didn't have kids with this man. He would have found a way to use the kids against me too. OP, you should blast him on every social media site. Share the pictures of the shelter's euthanasia post. Explain how he would rather them be in a shelter than with their mom who fought for them and loved them. Let the world know just how evil this man is. I'm trying to understand what shelter advertises when they euthanize a dog. They were advertising the adoption posts and saying that Gracie is on the euthanization list unless someone adopts her, and they were posting a pic of her with a countdown for euthanization. Then there was a memorial post for Gracie. I saw the posts too late and I called the shelter, and unfortunately no one adopted her. Next story. My boyfriend won't marry me, but he wants my child to have his last name. We've been together for 5 years, and I've been pushing marriage since we were dating for 2 years. He always said, "It's too fast," or "I'm not ready yet," to now saying, "What do we need the government involved for in our relationship?" He has major trust issues with marriage because almost all his family members are divorced and they lost so much financially. He thinks once we sign the papers, our relationship is going to change. Meanwhile, I don't feel secure in my relationship without a marriage. It just doesn't feel safe and secure. My relationship doesn't feel real. I hate going to doctor's appointments, and the form asks me if I'm single, married, divorced, or separated. I'm forced to circle single, even though I ain't single. There's no baby daddy option. Being a baby mama is just insulting. It makes a woman feel like we're not enough, and there will always be a door open because we don't have the highest level of commitment. I explained to my boyfriend what it means to be married to me, and he said he can't do it, but he wants to stay together, live together, and have this baby together. I told him if I can't have his last name, then my child won't have his last name. He told me not to be goofy now, and that's just silly, because all babies have their father's last name. Even when the kids barely even know their fathers, they still got their daddy's last name. Which is true. I've never met someone with their mama's last name, but I'm serious. I'll give my baby my last name as long as the hospital staff lets me. My only fear is my boyfriend doing the birth certificate while I'm recovering. That's exactly what happened to someone else I knew. It's been 5 years. If he wanted to marry you, he would have. Give the baby your name. I have a friend who gave her child her last name. It's not like you aren't allowed to. He doesn't have any right to fill out the birth certificate if you aren't married, OP. Make sure you let the nurses know so he doesn't try to sneak it while you are recovering from labor and/or surgery. Or better yet, don't let him in the room for the birth. If he refuses to be a husband, then he obviously doesn't consider you family, and I would only let my family in the room with me. You and this child deserve so much better than this. Don't you dare give that child a different last name than yours. I am definitely not giving my baby his last name. Family is trying to tell me to stop being petty and that you're supposed to give the child the father's last name. I'm just like, sis, under what law? Last story. My husband left me for my cousin, and it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. I was raised in a semi-traditional family, which means it's less, you'll dishonor or embarrass us by not getting married, and more, you'll break your mother's heart if you're not married. So when I was introduced to my now ex-husband, who's a kind, smart, financially stable man, we got married right away. He was a wonderful husband, and I care about him very much. I think we made a good team for a while there. We earned the same, supported each other without either of us having to depend on the other, took care of chores, and bonded as life partners. It changed when my husband met my cousin. Let's call her Tina. For context, her mother, my mom's older sister, and mine had a bad history, which I'd rather not share because it's family business. But they stopped talking when I was 20. However, my mother encouraged me and my siblings to get along with our cousins, as she didn't want the bad blood to get between us. My relationship with Tina is civil at best though, as she became more like her family as she got older. We talked from time to time, and there was even a period where we talked on a daily basis. And I guess that was the time my husband and Tina interacted. I noticed the change in my husband, of course. He spent more time on his phone and seemed more distracted when we were together. I accepted it as us getting used to each other until he came and talked to me, guilt-ridden and depressed, saying that he had fallen for Tina and thought it would be wrong to keep lying to me. Looking back, I think that was brave of him. I appreciate him the most for it. I wouldn't lie and say I felt nothing though. I was hurt. Maybe it's because I did come to love him during our time together more than I expected. Maybe it's because there's hidden resentment for Tina's family inside me that had subconsciously told me I lost. But another thing I feel is relief? Freedom almost. We had a peaceful divorce, and I wished him the best. Tina and I did not talk after, but my family and I had some long, tearful conversations. My mother asked me how I could just let him go like that. My father wanted to beat my husband up, but in the end, we kept it in my family only. My sister was my rock during that time. She knew I never wanted the marriage, not willingly, and that this was essentially a way out for me. I feel freer than ever before after the divorce. I don't feel pressure to get or stay married, or even date anymore, as my parents gave me space and time to heal. I'm out living as myself again. Truly, wholly myself. Last I heard of my husband and Tina, they're still dating and seem pretty happy. P.S. One of the last things Tina's mother said to mine was, "You'll have to beg me for help one day." I think it's funny because it did come true somehow for the younger generation. Tina did help me in a sense. Toast to you, cuz. Edit. Just wanted to add that he never cheated on me physically. Like they didn't sleep with each other behind my back before the divorce. As I mentioned, he talked to me about it very clearly and maturely. Someone in the comments said that we got married for the wrong reasons. And you were right. I am grateful for everything we've been through together and happy for him. I respect your opinion on what counts as cheating. If he can do it to you, he can and will do it to her too. Your cousin took the trash out literally. Haha, I don't really think so. We were simply not romantically compatible at the start, and I'm happy he found someone who's right for him. He allowed himself to create such a bond that he fell for someone else despite his vows. You can be forgiving, but he's still trash. Definitely different from most Reddit posts. I'm glad you found an escape way back when, with what seems like was a marriage between two dear friends. It's interesting that even though you came to love him, that you feel relief in the end. Was it a romantic love or a different kind of love? Overall, I'm glad you get to live life as you want without pressure now. Find whatever works for you. It sounds like you're set up for a happy road ahead, no matter which way you pick. Good luck with whatever you do next. I was not sure what kind of love, but I definitely love my freedom more. Haha. Either way, it's still difficult when a spouse wants to break things off when we have settled in a comfortable place for a long time. Thank you kindly for your good luck. Congratulations on your freedom, and hope your parents stay off your back longer. Yes, I secretly revel in the fact that they see me as so vulnerable from the divorce now, that they just stop bringing up romance as a whole. Home visits have never been more relaxing.